Hello and welcome to U.S. Cricket Now, the podcast covering all things Major League Cricket. Now, we've got a very special episode today. We've got one of the most explosive white ball openers that England has ever produced. Please welcome Jason Roy.
Greeted by Jason Roy. That is a statement of intent, if ever there was one.
You've got some of the highest class players over there right now. I think they've made huge waves in the last year and keep doing what it's doing. It's because they're doing a great job.
That iconic moment, 2019 World Cup.
I just remember thinking that where I was in the field and where I was fielding, without doubt the ball was going to come to me. Yeah, it was a nerve-wracking moment. Nerve-wracking day. Everyone was on the edge all day. It's the culture, it's the hunger that a lot of the American players and young players have, which is incredibly impressive. And I think you get to experience something that's completely different. People are falling in love with the game. So you're there at the start of the relationship almost, which is quite nice.
So take us back. I just want to ask, that iconic moment, 2019 World Cup.
Yeah.
You know, there were so many things that happened over the course of that day, but literally the seminal moment in that match, the ball comes to you.
Yeah.
And you had plenty of time, but it could have been very easy to panic in that situation. As the ball is coming to you,
yeah,
or even before the ball is in play, are you thinking to yourself, please don't hit it to me? Or are you somebody who's thinking to yourself, no, I want it to me, don't hit it to anybody else, I want the ball coming to me?
Yeah, that's what you learn from a young age, from sort of when you start off as a professional. The moment you don't want something to happen, or you don't want things to happen, or the ball to come towards you, or you don't want to play a certain shot, as soon as that doubt creeps into your mind, that's the worst thing that can happen. So I just remember thinking that where I was in the field and where I was fielding, without doubt, the ball was going to come to me. I was at deep mid wicket, and it's either me or long on that the ball's going to come to. So yeah, I was fully ready for the ball to come to me, and yeah, it did, and just did my job, picked the ball up cleanly, and chucked it in, man. Yeah, it was. I did have a bit of time, so I was okay, but yeah, it was a nerve-wracking moment, nerve-wracking day. The entire day was just, everyone was on the edge all day. But it was, memorable. Still remember it like it was yesterday, and it was a long time ago now.
What do you remember most of that day? Is it that final ball that came to you, or is there something else over the course of the day, whether before the match started, after the match, with the celebrations, or something else during the course of the match that sticks out most in your mind?
Oh, so many things just stick out. I mean, from the night before, when waking up in the morning and you walk down to breakfast and everyone's in their kit and you realise we've made it to this World Cup final. You know, this is what we set out to do at the start of the competition, and here we are. We set out to win, obviously, but we set out to get there to the final at Lord's. So there was that moment, which I have a vivid memory of. Arriving at the ground, the goosebumps when you arrive at the ground, the butterflies are there. But then the strange feeling was that with our squad we had and with how well we'd been playing and the team kind of chemistry that we had, when the moment the game started and we walked over the rope, it was like another game. You know, it just felt as if the guys were able to just put the fact that it was the World Cup final behind them and just go out there and try and compete. It was a scratchy game. It wasn't one of our normal games, that's for sure. But yeah, it was a scratchy game, and there was moments in the game where we were ahead. There was moments in the game where we were dead and buried, and we had a lot of luck. We had a lot of luck along the way. But, you know, we put in a huge amount of devotion and hard work along the way in the 4 years leading up to the World Cup. So, yeah, special. Very, very special.
Now, one of your teammates that day, who is now one of the leading lights of helping cricket grow in the U.S., Liam Plunkett, took 3 wickets in that final. And then a short time later, he moved off to Philadelphia, where he's married to an American. For people who don't know, that's part of the link of why he came to the U.S. and migrated here. And he was one of the people who was one of the early entrants in Major League Cricket. And I'm just curious, what were your first messages or kind of information that you got about Major League Cricket? Was it from Liam Plunkett or from elsewhere that made you aware that this was an option and made you want to take part in Major League Cricket?
Well, going back onto Liam being a part of that squad, he was not just a part of it. He was a huge pillar in our team. You know, he was a guy that we relied on heavily, and game in, game out, he came in and performed. He would be one of the hardest trainers. He'd work incredibly hard, and obviously then his skill won us games and etc. etc. But he was a good friend, and he still is a very good friend of mine. He's a lovely man. So when he did mention it to me that this could be a possibility of happening. And then as soon as I saw a lot of the IPL teams chucking a load of money into the competition, I thought this is going to be something pretty cool. And from what I've experienced from it, it didn't disappoint. It's a great competition, and it's watching it on watching a few highlights and stuff like that now, it looks as if the competition's grown even more, which is great to see.
Well, you say highlights. Your franchise, you might want to cover your eyes after the way they lost last night's game. It should have been going to a Super Bowl.
Yeah, no, I did see that, man. That was ridiculous. What a game. You had the perfect guy for it to go to as well. He's the tallest man, one of the tallest men in world cricket, or Jason Holder. So, yeah, it was a tough loss for them. They needed that win there. But that's cricket, man. That's sport, isn't it? It's just the moment when you're just behind the eight ball a little bit, cricket just keeps coming up and biting you. But yeah, they'll be all right. They got a serious squad.
So even though you're not currently with the squad, as a member of the Knight Riders family, you play with KKR, you play with TKR in the CPL, you play with Abu Dhabi Knight Riders and LA Knight Riders as well. You still keep an eye on things from afar?
Of course I do, yeah. I think a team that, whenever you're a part of a team for a prolonged period as well, a team that's kind of looked after you and you've been around the owners, the management, the younger players, the other overseas players, you do, even though it's only for a short amount of time, it's only for, let's say, one competition's 4 weeks out of the year, but it's an intense 4 weeks. You're living in each other's pockets, you're spending a lot of time together, so you always do want them to do really well. And it was a real shame that I couldn't head over to America this year to compete in that. But yeah, hopefully I'll be back there soon enough. But who knows what'll happen? They've got one of my other good mates there, Alex Hales. He's with LA. But I saw someone else came in for him. I think Andre Fletcher came in for him and scored that ridiculous 100. So, but he said he's loving it. It's a great group.
Well, you say he's loving it. And I'm curious about your own experience being in Texas. That's one of the things that is a unique selling point for this league, getting a chance to just simply come to America. It's not just the cricket aspect, but there's a lot of off-field aspects. I've seen and watched videos and heard of stories of something as simple as guys going into a cowboy shop and getting cowboy hats and boots and getting a chance to play some golf courses. There's some fantastic golf in Dallas and other parts of the country. What was your experience like playing for the Knight Riders, not just on the field, but off the field, experiencing the American culture?
Off the field was eye-opening. I never spent a huge amount of time in America. I love what it's about. I love seeing it from afar. But, I mean, I've popped in New York once when I was a lot younger for like 4 days, 5 days, whatever it was. But it wasn't the same as this. This was eye-opening. This was amazing, The culture in Texas, went over there to watch the horses and all that sort of stuff, and the rodeos and all the true cowboys there. They're probably looking at us like, what are these weirdos doing in their kit? But yeah, we tried our hardest to fit in, but no, we didn't quite fit in. But it was great fun. It's a cool place. People are incredibly welcoming, and yeah, like I said, I'd love to be back there one day because it was really cool.
You mentioned the rodeo, Jason. One of my favorite things about going to a rodeo in Texas is the national anthem, and they have somebody riding a horse with the American flag riding around the rodeo ring. And I'm curious, if they added that to Lord's, do you think that would catch on? If they got somebody on a horse with the Union Jack or the St. George's flag and they got them to ride around the boundary at Lord's on a horse, and whether it's singing God Save the King or Jerusalem, do you think that would catch on in England?
Oh, it would catch on, but the groundsmen wouldn't be happy, man. They spend hours looking after their grass, and then you got some mare, some horse running across that lawn. They're not going to be too happy with that, mate. But of course that'll catch on. Everything about cricket at the moment is going towards the way of a spectacle, isn't it? It's amazing. We're trying to draw more people to the game. So whatever it takes to do that, whether it is someone riding around on a horse or standing on a horse running around with a flag on, I don't know. Whether it's that, who knows? It might happen. But you've seen it with our competition here in the UK with the 100 competition. You come to one of those games and it's just lights, fireworks, music, live DJ, and the crowd is a lot younger. They're generating a lot of interest through the younger generations coming through. So, and I'm sure it's doing a similar thing there out in America. And you saw exactly what USA did during the World Cup and the T20 World Cup. They made absolute waves in the competition. They were amazing, and to see them put their best foot forward like they did was incredibly impressive. And then you've seen them now during this MLC, and they're just fitting right in with all the other overseas players. So it's great to watch.
You're being very gracious, Jason, because my vivid memory of going to Barbados to cover the U.S. team was seeing Harmeet Singh, the left-arm spinner, get hit for 5 sixes and over by Joss Butler.
Well, that's Joss Butler, right? What do you expect? Eh? Harmeet, he's a good bowler. I'm happy. He's a good bowler. I enjoy that man. He's a good man as well. So every dog has his day, mate, as they say. So one game doesn't make a summer,
You mentioned Alex Hales. I mentioned Liam Plunkett as well. Some of the other English players that could potentially be part of Major League Cricket. What to you, from your own experience or whether it's having dialogues with some of these other guys, what to you is the number one selling point that you would use to encourage more English players to consider signing with MLC, especially given the conflicts? I know you've had not been able to necessarily play a full season because you've got Surrey commitments and other commitments. So there is a little bit of tricky juggling that some of the English players would have to do. But if you had to sell it...
There's a bit of an issue now with... not an issue. It's just the rules and regulations at the moment surrounding the ECB. The English Cricket Board have not allowed a lot of players to go over during the English summer, which I understand they want to have their best players here in England playing in the competitions for exactly what we're speaking about, generating interest in the game, etc., etc. But if opportunities do arise for anyone, wherever they are in the world, it's the culture, it's the hunger that a lot of the American players and young players have, which is incredibly impressive. And I think you get to experience something that's completely different. You're at the start of the game. You're at the start of the interest. It feels like in America, it's a pretty new-ish thing. Like no one really gets it. And when you go to a game, generally you're welcomed there by people knowing your name, knowing the rules, knowing everything. But you go to a game over there. I remember especially the first year when I was over there fielding at Long On, and the guys were there and they had not a clue what was going on. They were chatting away to me and they were just so friendly, and it was nice to see someone who had no idea coming and just you're teaching people about the game, and you're just kind of broadening people's sort of education on the game. So I guess that for me was really cool, to go to a place where cricket isn't the be-all and end-all, whereas you go to Australia, Pakistan, India, South Africa, all these places, and they are cricket mad. But you go there and it's like a new sport and people are falling in love with the game. So you're there at the start of the relationship almost, which is quite nice.
In terms of the other local sports scene, when you're in Texas for the tournament, did you get a chance to go to a Texas Rangers game or investigate, at AT&T Stadium not too far away where the Cowboys play?
I got one of the baseballs there. Got a few bits of merchandise from the baseball. Went to a couple of baseball games actually. But again, an incredible spectacle for someone. I have no idea about baseball, right? But I still loved it. I loved the event. I loved going there. They made such a show of it. Mascot races, fireworks, loads of just like elaborate stuff, right? And I left with a big smile on my face, and it was great. And that's what you kind of want to achieve when you have people that come to a cricket game, that even though they have no idea, they might take a little bit of the game away from them, but they've had a great night. So, the baseball was there, but I'd like to do a bit more.
You mentioned mascot races. It's one of the more famous mascot races they do. I believe it's at Washington Nationals Park, as they have in the 6th or 7th inning, they have ex-presidents' mascots dressed up. So you might have Abraham Lincoln racing against George Washington or Teddy Roosevelt.
I would enjoy that one.
Well, again, at a place like Edgbaston where the crowd is a bit rowdy, what do you say if they have a mascot race with Boris Johnson and Rishi Sunak and Tony Blair?
100% all in. Let's do it. Let's make it happen. I think there's nothing wrong with that at all. I think, but you are right. You picked a great ground there as well, Edgbaston. I think that would go down an absolute treat. They probably wouldn't, especially the Holly stand, wouldn't remember too much of the mascot race after the game. But that's a good mate. Like I said, just anything that gets this game recognised, because it is a great game, and I'm trying to grow it.
Now, one of the guys you mentioned domestically, Harmeet Singh, has been one of the key USA players over the last couple of years. and he's starring with the Seattle Orcas as a left-arm spinner. He's the leading wicket taker this year. You've shared the dressing room with a lot of players in the franchise leagues you played in around the world, whether it's the overseas players or the domestic players. And I'm curious if there's one domestic player of the American group, either you've played with as a teammate at Knight Riders or somebody you've come up against who you think is somebody that could make a splash in other overseas franchise leagues.
Well, Hamid's already done that, hasn't he? I was in Dubai, in Abu Dhabi and Dubai with him this year. I've seen him go about his business, and again, an incredibly hard worker. It's so hard to put your finger on one. Obviously, you've got Andres Raus. He's the boy. He's making waves as well, and he's a clean ball striker. He smacks the ball miles, and he's already dipped his toe into a lot of franchise tournaments. So I think that's what's nice, is that because of the MLC now, players are getting recognised a lot more. Do you know what I mean? You're on the world stage now. You're playing against guys who are international cricketers, guys who have won competitions around the world. And they're putting their hands up. You know, they're still, look at Hamid, like he's the leading wicket taker. Like, that's brilliant. That's great to see, you know. And it's just nice to see them all getting recognised, because I saw firsthand the hard work that's been put in.
MLC is now in its third year. What do you think needs to be done to help improve the status of the league or the caliber of the league to help elevate it into that kind of next level status of elite T20 franchise leagues?
Do you know what? From what I see, it's not far off at all. From the players they've got, you've got some of the highest class players over there right now in the overseas world. You've got everyone over there that needs to be over there. And I think the moment you've got teams from the IPL investing into a tournament, you're never going to be short of stars. You're never going to be short of media sort of presence and stuff like that. So I don't think there's a huge... It just needs to keep doing what it's doing. I think from afar, it's great to see. I think what's always important now is, as everyone knows, is social media, content, and they're smashing it out on Instagram and Twitter and all the other social networks that I'm not even on. I don't even know some of them, but I just think keep doing what they're doing. Keep working hard. Like I think they've made huge waves in the last year, and yeah, keep doing what it's doing. It's because they're doing a great job.
Now, one other thing that I'm curious about is the fact that LA Knight Riders haven't had a home venue over the course of the 3 years, but with the venue that's been designated for the LA 2028 Olympics that's going to be in Pomona in eastern Los Angeles, what are your thoughts on the impact that could have, not only in terms of Major League Cricket, but having the Olympics in the Los Angeles area, and then the mushroom effect that could have post-Olympics, whether it's for the Knight Riders or any other cricket that's happening in the Los Angeles area?
Well, yeah, exactly. Well, like you just said, it's broadening its horizons, it's reaching a bigger target audience. More people are going to watch it naturally. LA having their own spot will be quite nice for them. I know they've been pushing hard for something, for a home venue. They're a huge franchise around the world and have a lot of power amongst the cricket industry. So they'll be extremely excited for the prospect of that. But yeah, but I mean, like we spoke about, it's just sort of broadening everyone's sort of education around the game, and especially when you go there, you're going to have a far greater audience. That's going to be incredibly exciting. But yeah, 2028 Olympics, a long way away. I think I might be a bit too old for that by then, but we'll see.
Well, yeah,
I'll be 37 by then, so we'll see.
37, 38, yeah. So your birthday's in July, and technically I think you might be 38 by then. So it may be just a little bit of a bridge too far, but just broadly speaking, the opportunity to have cricket in the Olympics and go into Los Angeles 2028, a multi-sport games, global games where you would be able to rub shoulders, whether it's you or other English players would be able to rub shoulders with, you know, if you think back, if you got a chance to be part of Olympics and be with Mo Farah or, you know, some of the other great English athletes, you know, what would that have been like for you?
Yeah, there's so many incredible athletes that have come out of GB, and to rub shoulders with them and just to be in their presence to see how good they really are would be really special. I mean, they're on a different sort of stratosphere of their work ethic, because obviously they're working towards every 4 years, so it's do or die for them. And to rub shoulders with people like that, it would be very, very cool. And it's going to be special for those guys that do go, that whoever does go to those Olympics, they in for a chance of getting a medal, which is something that I never thought I would even say, but that's pretty cool.
Now, one more question I've got for you before we go about the ongoing England-India series. The first test just wrapped up. England pulling off a remarkable chase at Leeds. Second test coming up at Edgbaston. How do you see the rest of the series shaking out over the course of the final 4 tests?
After that first test, anything can happen. It was absolutely gripping, wasn't it? I think the way England's batters performed as well was impressive, really impressive. You know, they had a lot of scrutiny coming into the game, especially Ollie Pope. The way he went about his business and the way he played was incredible. The pressure he was under. But then you give hats off to Duckett in that final innings. To do that against that bowling attack is absolutely mind-blowing. He was incredibly impressive. But you know, India are going to be hurting from that test match for sure. And a wounded India is a dangerous India. I think they could come out guns blazing. But I think England seem to have a lot of things covered. You know, their bowling attack mopped up the tail end of the Indian unit. They bowled incredibly well to the openers. India have got star-studded batting attack as well, but mate, anything can happen. They're both pretty young as well, so it's exciting. It's definitely very, very exciting. I'll sit on the fence. I'm sitting on the fence a little bit, as you can probably tell. But yeah, I think England to take, because they don't draw, do they? So it's win or lose. So you can't really say a draw. But I say England take the next one for sure as well.
And just in terms of the talent and the strategy, I'm curious for your thoughts on one thing that we've seen with load management. Jasprit Bumrah with India, the communication that's come out is he's going to play every other test for load management purposes. We know he's missed some time before with injury. That's something that's very prevalent in American sports. That's become a very common thing, especially in basketball. You've seen it in baseball as well, where pitchers' pitch counts are very closely monitored. That never used to be a thing in the past, where if a pitcher was in the 7th inning of a no-hitter or a perfect game, it used to be you'd never give a second thought. They're going to stay in the game until they give up a hit or a walk, and then they'll finally get pulled no matter how many pitches they've thrown. And I'm just curious, this is kind of a new thing for cricket, and I'm curious for your thoughts as to whether it's going to be an anomaly or something that becomes a normalized thing over the course of time.
I think over the course of time, squads are going to have to develop it. The thing is with county cricket, with what you watch over here, guys are playing, they'll finish a 4-day game. Let's say they've bowled 30 overs, and as a seamer, they'll bowl 30 overs. They've got 2-3 days to recover. Then they'll play the next week again, and they'll do the same thing. And there's only a certain amount of counties that have the luxury of signing an extra amount of fast bowlers so that they can rotate. Surrey were very lucky. We've got a volley. We've got a big pool of class fast bowlers, so we can rotate our bowlers really well. So each week they're coming in feeling fresh. But there's still a lot of players that just play, and they're playing on 30-40% juice. You know, they're just, and they find a way, they find a way, and they find a way. I think the difference in baseball, how many games in baseball would you have a year?
162 in the regular season, but your pitchers start every 5th day or every 6th day.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, the load they're putting through their shoulder is frightening. Whereas it's slightly different for bowlers. Obviously, they're putting it through their ankles and knees, and I'll have all the fast bowlers shouting at me here and cursing me out for sure. But it's obviously very different and stuff like that. So you've got to weigh it up. I don't know. Have they mentioned that Bumrah is going to be resting in the next Test match?
That's been the communication that has been through the media, is that he's.
And that's interesting because you've obviously got 2 weeks. There's a decent break between that Test match and this Test match. So.
Well, that's what caught my eye, because the last Test ended on June 24th, and the second Test at Edgbaston doesn't start till July 2nd. So there's already built-in week rest there.
Yeah, I'll be surprised to see what happens there, but he's obviously their biggest threat. He's their biggest worry, for sure, obviously. Number 1 bowler in the world, frightening skills. And I think there'll be that entire England batting lineup will be incredibly happy if he is taking his rest. But it's definitely coming into the game a huge amount. The levels of professionalism and the nutrition, the recovery, everything surrounding the game now has gone to the next level. Even over the space of since COVID in the last 5 years. It's gone through the roof. So it'll only keep progressing. And if teams are lucky enough, like I said, to have that pool of players where they can rotate their fast bowlers, they will do that, because naturally, if your bowler's coming in and he's at 90 to 100% full juice, ready to make an impact, he's going to be a better impact. Whereas if you've got a guy that each week is bowling 30, 35, 40 overs every single week with 2 days off and then having to do the same thing again, you're not going to have the same impact. And now that's obviously incredibly tough for a lot of counties, because they don't have the financial reach to be able to do that. And that's the trouble. That's the real battle at the moment.
Anything else you want to say about Major League Cricket and whether you'll return someday soon?
If I get the opportunity, I'll be right back there. I'll stick my cowboy hat back on and I'll get over there and go watch the Rangers win another game. But I'd love to be back there, like I said. And who knows? Who knows what the future will bring? Maybe I head over there, help my good mate Liam out with a few gigs over there. I see he's making waves. Again, an incredibly professional guy who set up a system over there for players and young players to come in and train like the best in the world. So that's exciting to see as well. So I'm proud of him. But yeah, if the opportunity arises, mate, I'm there.
You heard it here first. Jason Roy, he's going to be back in MLC hopefully sooner than later. Jason, thank you so much for joining us on US Cricket Now.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me, man.
Just another reminder that you can follow US Cricket Now on YouTube, Instagram, X, and TikTok. Just search US Cricket Now. Don't forget to subscribe, follow us, and rate us on Apple and Spotify. And if you want to get in touch, drop us an email at uscricketnow@gmail.com. US Cricket Now is a Viral Tribe Entertainment and Square Cut production. Our thanks again to Jason Roy for taking the time to speak with us on US Cricket Now. That's it for this episode. Take care and join us next time.